Okay, so good morning to everyone, and thanks to the organizers for the invitation. Today I will be talking to you about a rhyme workshop that was given by a professional rap artist in a high school in Manresa, which is a mid-sized city 70 kilometers from Barcelona. The rhyme workshop was a sort of collaboration between a secondary school teacher of music and the rap artist, and I just found out about the experience that was going to occur, and I asked permission to the school, to the students, and to all the participants for documenting the workshop and also analyzing the workshop through the lenses of educational research. I have to say that this workshop I'm going to be sharing with you happened in 2013, but I have researched other rhyme workshops given by the same rap artist in a range of different contexts, educational contexts, like other schools and libraries as well. I was particularly interested in this rhyme workshop because in Catalonia teachers tend to have strong resistant positions towards schooling hip-hop, and therefore there are or rap-based activities in the classroom are quite rare in comparison with other countries like the States, like Germany, like Brazil, for instance. And one of the aspects I wanted to explore with this workshop was what are the benefits, what are the risks, what are the challenges when we put a vernacular literacy in the middle of the classroom. And this is a relevant question for the new literacy studies in the classroom framework, because they seek, which is actually my field of research, because they seek to understand how can we bridge in the classroom vernacular and dominant literacies. I also wanted to study the workshop through the lenses of the pedagogy that the artist brought into the classroom, his own pedagogy, his own understanding of classroom interaction and learning. And I also wanted to know more how the secondary school teacher integrated that experience, that educational experience, in her curriculum schedule. And finally, I also wanted to understand the impact that workshop, 4-session workshop, had on the students' motivation, on learning, on creativity, and also on agency. So these are the questions that guided my research. I have to say that I look at this workshop through the lenses of Thirdspace theory, which is a theory of learning that says that teenagers and, well, people in general learn by constantly crossing borderline discourses about reading, writing, and learning. And so we interact in the first space, in first spaces like home, community, where there are some values around what counts as a good text, what counts as good writing, what counts as a reader. And then we interact in other contexts, like the school, for instance, where we have other values around these aspects. And so the third space is that conceptual, abstract space where these discourses, somehow in competition, compete or clash or interact or transform each other for creating new understandings, new texts, new ways of interpreting the world. So through this theory, I ask how is the third space created in that rhyme workshop, but also what is the signature pedagogy that the artist is bringing into the classroom. I really like this concept by Pat Thompson, signature pedagogy, like pedagogies that have a personality, that have an owner somehow, that have a signature. and how the workshop had an impact on the students' writing, language expression, creativity, and identities. So I'm gonna show some bits of things that happen in the workshop that call to those to those questions, but I'm also I'm gonna try to develop the argument that creativity in that workshop was enabled because of ruptures. Ruptures in different layers or in different aspects, in the pedagogical layer or the pedagogical conceptual frame, but also ruptures that happen in the layer of language expectations, learning expectations, writing expectations, etc. Okay, so this will be my argument. Before continuing, I would like to project a video which it's not about the project. Sorry. It's not about the project, but it's a video that has been done by the artist, who is Pau Llong, and I'm gonna say something more in a while about him. It's a project that he has done in Sabadell, celebrating all the rhyme workshops that he has done in several high schools. And I think it's good because you can have a sense of the kind of workshops he does. And I'm struggling now with, okay, so, Tanku, oh, this one, yeah, okay. So you can have a sense, I'm gonna project just 1 minute, but you will have a sense of the kind of workshop, the interaction, and how it works. The project is called Change Your Point of View about Racism in the City, Sabadell. It's in Catalan and Spanish, so they use both languages. Okay, I'm sorry to stop it here. It's online, so I can share with you the link from current slide. So, yes. So the workshop was given in this high school, Lluís de Peguera High School, and 75 students participated in total. The high school is highly multilingual, multi-ethnic one, and approximately half of the students have international newcomers, above all with Latin American and North African backgrounds. So we we had different courses participating in tercer de l'ESO and segon de batxillerat, which is the third course of compulsory secondary education, so they had 13 years old, and then the second course of post-compulsory schooling, so they had about 17 years old, 18 years old. About the language policy, although everyone knows that it's Catalan, it's the vehicular language in this school, it's in Manresa. What is interesting is that in this school happened what has been documented in other sociolinguistic works in other schools in Catalonia, that there is a clear division of languages in the school. The Spanish is the language dominating peer talk in the school, and Catalan is somehow reserved to be the language of the school, the language of the activities, the language to learn, if you want. And this was quite relevant for understanding the underpinnings of the workshop and the claims that this workshop wanted to do in that community, because the rap singer, Pau Llong, is one of the few rappers who had succeeded rapping in Catalan. So basically, the interesting thing is that Adversaris, which is the name of the band, represents an inflection point in the history of Spanish rap music, because they introduce Catalan as a proper language to do rap. Okay, so a lot of rappers in the Catalan context choose to rap in Spanish because they feel that they have more audience, but they have succeeded rapping in Catalan. So this was very interesting. And the group challenged somehow the dominant idea according to which Catalan is not a suitable language sounding to rap, okay? Because Catalan is somehow constructed as a language highly normativized in comparison with Spanish, which is seen as less rigid and somehow having more street cred. Okay, so this is the point, and this is very interesting. So the rapper brought to the classroom all these ideas about rapping in Catalan and also about Catalan as well. So just for you to have a quick sense of what happened in the workshop before sharing with you the analysis, the workshop had the aim to help the students to organize a Christmas rap concert. So along the sessions, 4 sessions, they had to write down and to perform a rap that would be shared in a concert for the school. So in the first session, the rapper explained something about the history of rap music. He explained the musical features of rap, and he also talked about literary devices that can be found in rap and can be also found in other poetical texts, for instance. Then in the second session, he focused on the rhythmical and rhetorical of lyrics, and he used a repertoire of examples, real songs in Catalan, in Spanish, in English. They also did some improvisation exercises, and they kept doing the draft that they began in the first session. In the third session, they had time to write and to do the rehearsal of the rap. And the rapper and also the teacher, who was also in the classroom, they help the student all the time. So they sit down, they sing with the students, they collaborate, they gave ideas, so they were participants of this process. And finally, the students took the stage and they performed, or they did the rap concert. Well, sorry, in that session they were doing final rehearsal, and then there was the concert. Okay. So what were the pedagogical strategies that the artists display along the workshop? what was interesting is that the rapper behaved as more as a mentor than as a teacher. And this was interesting in the way how it changed a lot of things in the classroom. The teacher was there, so the teacher was the teacher, and he was a kind of mentor, helping the student, collaborating with them all the time. He organized the classroom as long conversations with the students. So the interaction was not someone talking and then the student perhaps contributing with some idea. No, the student was all the time talking, all the time answering questions, raising questions as well, explaining ideas. So it was like a long conversation, nothing to do with the traditional interaction classroom. Youth were positioned as resources for learning in that sense. The rapper emphasized applied knowledge and not theoretical knowledge. All the time he was putting the emphasis on the practice, on writing, on talking, on thinking quickly. And how this emphasis on practice work. He acknowledged body movement in the classroom. So he said to the students, you can write your rap moving your body, so you can connect with the music. He used a lot of examples, a lot of stories. He had a permanent collaborative attitude. And something interesting that also happened was that somehow the expectations towards poetry or literature, if you want, flip somehow. Why? Because in his discourse, he put first the concepts and then the terminology. So he, for instance, explained the effects that an alliteration put on him as a receptor, as a listener of a rap, and then he said, well, and this repetition of sounds, it's called alliteration. So, but first the experience, first the concepts, and then the terminology. And he was also acknowledging real uses of the languages, and this was very powerful as well. So he was acknowledging new in that context, new linguistic uses of Catalan in that classroom, because he was socializing his own ideas about Catalan language and about rapping in Catalan. He said all the time, write Catalan as you speak it. And this was very powerful and was breaking a lot of things, because in a classroom, of course, everybody has some clear expectations about what counts as a good language or a good use of Catalan, Spanish, English, whatever. I mean, a language in general. So, and we relate these uses to formal uses of the language, accurateness, correctness, all this stuff. So he was somehow breaking this and saying, speak and write closely. So it's like easy, but it changed a lot of things. And by doing this, he was emphasizing authentic uses of the language. I'm not saying that formal language is not authentic, because it is, but for a teenager, could be seen somehow far away or difficult to master, right? So in this sense. I like this bit of an interview that I found in a musical magazine, in The Rock, because it encapsulates, the interview to this rapper, it encapsulates really his ideology about language, and I would like to read it. He said, we have to rap as we speak. It's not about including Spanish linguistic forms, but we speak with these forms. I don't know if it's good or bad, but we speak like that. If a Spanish linguistic form rhymes, looking for a Catalan substitute can make the lyric sound weird. So this was his point. And he disseminated or make this ideology circulate in the classroom as an answer to the big question in the first session. That was, Pau, can we write the rap in Spanish? This was the first question that the students raised. And actually this question was socially relevant because they knew about rap, more about Spanish rap than Catalan rap. Actually they were a bit awkward, a bit discomfortable somehow. And in front of that question, Pau tried to transmit all these ideas about rapping in Catalan, and he argued that we have to rap as we speak, and that we don't have to avoid colloquialisms, that we don't have to avoid Spanish linguistic forms, etc. So it was really, really powerful. And acknowledging real uses of Catalan in the classroom had a benefit in the students' feeling, because this idea make the students feel more relaxed with the language. This is an example by a student, Byron, who, as you can see in the first session, he was blocked with the activity. He felt really. The activity was a challenge, and he asked to Pau to write the rap in Spanish. He also had some constraints, not linguistic, but also the genre. It was also a problem for him. But he talked to Pau, and in the second session, Pau said to him, okay, let's play with the sound, with the resonant aesthetics of the language. You don't think that you are writing in Catalan. Write in different languages, but use Catalan. So this was his point. And then the boy began to write a verse, which is every time that someone falls in love, in Catalan, in Spanish, in Catalan again. And he was playing and transforming the content of the verse. So there was translanguaging in there. And then in the third session, he managed to write a short, but very well written and nice rap. So the point in here is the evolution of this boy just in 3 sessions, moving from a circumstance or a situation where he felt a lot of constraints, and then moving to a situation where he experimented with the languages because there were breaks, because there were ruptures in the expectations, and moving to a situation where he could use his plurilinguistic resources or repertoire to express himself in that particular situation and genre. So I think this was very powerful. Another example of how this ideology circulated in the classroom, or more than circulated, was negotiated in the classroom, is this interaction between a student who asked, hey Pau, one question, how you say rollo in Catalan, which is like people kissing each other or something like this. And Pau says, what do you want to say when 2 people kiss each other? And the students say, no, that you are in your planet, in your world. And then Pau says, so you can say a la teva olla. But we don't say this in everyday talk. Okay, so it's better al teu rollo, which is something that we say more. It's almost like in Spanish. It sounds more natural. So this was the kind of interactions where he was negotiating this ideology with the students. So, well, then there were also ruptures in the level or in the layer of writing conceptions about the writing process. Of course, in a classroom, we also have ideas about what counts as a good text, as a good writing, but not just about the language, also about how we write in terms of the behavior, our body, which is just doing like this or doing like this. I mean, our body doesn't count, no? And he built or constructed new ideas about writing New, I mean in that context. He made the writing process to be more multimodal by acknowledging, for instance, music, because the students had an instrumental, a musical accompaniment as a background. So music was there, framing the writing process. He was recognizing the embodied experience of writing, or in other words, that the body can have a fully experience during the process of writing. And as a consequence, a lot of drawings were visible in the students' raps as well. For instance, I really like this one, that it's titled Fear. And it's about fear, the diversity of fears that human beings we have. And this boy drew the fears as well. So nothing to do with the orality of the rap, but it was interesting that it was part of his process. Also, this idea that Pau transmitted, the idea that we have to write in a practical way and not intellectualize the writing, because we are writing a rap, so we have to flow with the writing. He said things like, you don't have to intellectualize, you have to be practical. If you have 2 verses, go and rap. You are not writing, you are writing to say what you are writing, to oralize, to share. So you have to have the audience there all the time. And in that sense, rap, it's close to oral interaction. Orality was also part of the textualization process, and also was a way to de-elitize writing. Why? Because rap is an hybrid text in between orality and writing, during the process of writing the rap, the writer needs to articulate content, flow, and delivery as well. So this is very powerful and changed the notion of writing. And also because rap music has a lot of phonic rhetorical figures like alliteration, onomatopoeias, etc. So, and finally, another idea that was contributing to this idea of making the writing process more accessible was the kind of texts or the topics that were chosen by the students. They had the responsibility to choose the topic. And this was interesting because that rap was not shaped by knowledge expectation. It was an opportunity of expression and not a context where to show off what we know. So this changed some things in the classroom. The students had that responsibility, and they struggle a little bit to choose the topics at the beginning, but when they choose the topics and they textualize their topics, their ideas, they own that text. And I'm going to show finally a video where you will see someone rapping and then coming back to take his text. So rap text became a space of resilience, a space where to interpret the world. They talk about narrating human relationships, the feelings, social topics, politics, and an interesting thing was that all those raps were written in first person, which is also another issue contributing to this de-elitization of rap and creativity, because students feeling that they had more space, more room for expressing themselves, they were more creative in the sense that they use more linguistic, musical, poetical repertoire to express themselves in that context. And I just want to highlight the idea that expressing unique thoughts in a knowledge-driven context, as it is the school, is a form of empowerment and also of agency. well, this was an example just to finish saying some of the contributions that I think that this experience has for the linguistic and literary education. I think that a third space was really constructed in that classroom, and the third space had different functions. Sometimes was bridging vernacular and dominant literacies, I mean, poetry and, rap and poetry. Sometimes was a space of transformation of linguistic abilities and lyrical knowledge of the students. Sometimes was a space of change in which discourses were challenged and reorganized. And yeah, just to finish saying that the rhyme workshop empowered the students in different levels, linguistically, academically, and culturally. Academically, because they did the rap in the concert, so they did it in front of all the community. And in the video that you will watch right now, you will see two students that were in the ordinary class for the first time. They had been in the reception class for 2 years, and they were struggling with Catalan literacy. But in that context, in that concert, they show off that they could say something nice and brilliant in Catalan. So it had that thing as well. And about creativity, I think that the workshop enable creativity because of these ruptures that I've explained, but also make the students feel that creativity is in everyday life, and it's not just something that some people, an elite people, can master. So, well, this idea, and finally, because I would like you to watch some raps. This is Hassan and Zakaria. A veure. I can make it bigger. I don't know why. Well. They were doing the rehearsal in here, not the concert. And then he come back and I say, I won my rap because I did it very, very good, so I just won it. And this final boy, he did an alliteration. I don't know if you noticed, but he say the fumar, he's saying a theory about if you smoke, you are more poor, or there is a linkage between smoking and poverty. Okay, his theory, but he's doing the all the time. Fumar, el temps passa I la gent no sé què passa, no? So he was doing this on purpose. So he was like putting a literary resource in there. And that's all. Sorry if I took more time. Thank you.
Are there any quick comments or questions while Victor and Cristina sit down?
Yeah?
Sí.
Just, it's so interesting, and I thought it was really interesting that you said that your contribution to language and literacy education, which yes, it clearly is, but I think it's a contribution to so much more than that, which is something like an ethical education, because these kids, they're learning about how to be in the world with other people, and language is the sort of material vehicle for that. So they're learning what they're learning through the how of languaging in this different context. I think it speaks to what I think is a gap in education, where there's we know a lot about how people learn languages, and we know quite a lot about how people learn through art. But I think that learning at the intersection of language and the arts possibly is an area that's kind of under-theorised, and I think this really speaks to that.
Yeah.
It's a much wider contribution than to language and literacy.
Yeah, and I like the comment about ethics and about being human. We are human beings partly because we have this social world, and the language is part of this. So I'm gonna think about it. Thank you for the contribution.